we're going to now transition to our next thing, which is the moment of BRABEN. Now, I'm going to say this extremely clearly because we highlight clip this every week, and every week we get some moron going, this is clickbait. That's David BRABEN from years ago. Yeah, moron, that's the fucking point of what we're doing. What we do with the moment of BRABEN is we show a clip from the devs or from David BRABEN himself from years ago, and then we comment on it from what we're seeing today. So what we see is they said this in 2014. We are now in 2021. We're looking at this through the lens of these are the ideas and promises that these guys made. What do you think is happening here? Like, hey, wow, they kept this one, and this they're working on, and this, what happened to that? So that's the point of this segment. So having said that, settle in, and again, for the record, because I swear to Christ, there's at least 10 morons every clip that go, hey, this is clickbait, this is old. Genius. This is a clip from November 7 of 2014. We're going to now comment on that. If you think that this is something from yesterday, please stop watching the video now. Never watch one of our videos again. Having said that, let's jump in.
When I was a kid, I was probably about 7, I had an annual of some kind, a space annual, and in it was an amazing orbital station that you could walk around. And I used to dream as a kid of being able to do that. And finally, I might soon be able to do such a thing in one of our amazing Orbis stations. So that's what I'm looking forward to in the future for the game. Being able to get out of my ship, get into one of those stations and do what I imagined doing when I was 7 years old.
I love the idea of going down to a planet's surface, getting out of my ship, maybe driving around in a buggy, that sort of thing. That, to me, is amazing, because then you start to realise the scope and the scale of the real world that's out there. You know, all of those distant stars.
I think there's so much to do. I think I'm quite looking forward to being able to walk around space stations. I think there's a whole gamut of gameplay there that I think will be interesting to explore, meeting the contacts that you've only sort of seen via the bulletin board interface. There's a lot we can do there.
I would love to see players running around their ship and other ships, dealing with emergencies and repelling boarders, cleaning up toxic spillages, exploring derelict husks, that sort of mischief.
What I want to see in future releases of Elite Dangerous will be more ships, more diversity in design and the looks of the spaceships, the ability to walk around them, particularly the bigger ones like the Anaconda, and then in stations as well, you know, meeting other players and all that sort of stuff would be fantastic.
One of the things that we've implemented on some of the larger ships is based on a grid system of meter squares. So the cockpit is of a certain size, and within that there's a lift shaft, and that shaft will then channel down and be the same position throughout the ship on all the lower decks.
Planning for the future, where on the one hand you have something like a Cobra, which actually is a giant vehicle with a huge ladder you get out of, you know, or an Anaconda, which in itself would probably be the size of a level in many of the first-person shooter games that I've played.
I'd like for players to be able to get out of the ship and walk around the hangars, because it's difficult to appreciate how big some of these ships are when you're flying them, but to walk around the hangar and stand underneath one should really bring that scale across to the player.
I think what I'm particularly looking forward to is when you can actually get out of your ship and walk around, just to be able to sort of look up into the station and realise just how big it is and how small you are. That's going to be amazing.
What's really exciting is zero gravity. This is something you don't see in a lot of games, and being able to sort of float around your ship, float through the corridors and float out of your ship and sort of climb around it, fix something on the outside, I think that would be really cool. I'd love to see that in the future.
I'm really looking forward to zero-G combat, getting out of your seat and then being in a atmosphere that has absolutely no gravity. How is that going to work? I'm really looking forward to playing that.
So I'd really love to see us explore some of the suggestions we've had from the DDF and from the community that we've had behind the game. I mean, we look at that every day and we get to see so many great ideas that frankly would be entire projects just on their own. One guy suggested radio stations you could tune into when you arrive in a system, so you can hack into and listen to all the police transmissions around a system, things like that. I really hope someday we can explore those ideas and sort of build them out into the game.
One thing I'd really like to see is space station destruction, which I don't think we'll get, but I do remember spending a lot of time in the original game shooting at stations, hoping that I'll be able to destroy them and never actually getting anywhere. So I'd like to see that.
I'd like to see giant space aliens that live in deep space, and they eat asteroids and they eat spaceships, and they have giant tentacles and big goggly eyes.
So for me, I'm really looking forward to the planetary landings, seeing these beautiful globes that we're flying past in Super Cruise at the moment, and then being able to just pop down to the surface. I'm really excited about that one.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to the to doing the planetary landing expansion. It's a terrifying undertaking. It's just a whole new area of the game that we're going to have to bring up to an incredibly high quality. But hopefully we've got long enough to do that.
I love things like walking around inside the ship and the space station, but the thing to me is going around seeing a distant world. That's probably the thing I'm excited about the whole thing, because I just love the idea. The more we put in, the more I feel we need to flesh things out, and so there is so much scope for where we go in this game.
Absolutely. Huge 07. There is so much scope for where we could go in this game. I don't think anyone denies that Elite Dangerous is a beautiful ball of possibility. Now, the question is, how much of that possibility is being sort of delivered? Because those people, those beautiful people talking on screen about their ideas, I want to go to there. I want to play that game. Now, let's be fair. You know, they were talking about the idea of landing on a planet and walking around. We got that. They were talking about the idea of walking around in a hangar and seeing the scope of how big your ship is. We got that. They were talking about the idea of, you know, these beautiful vistas and whatnot. And so far, we sort of got that. Asterisk. But they also, I heard multiple people there talk about the idea of like, zero G and floating around your ship and zero G combat and floating outside and fixing something in an EVA and walking around on your ship and walking around in a station. And yes, in fairness, we do have walking in stations at this point, if you count that sort of one room. But as they were talking about it, literally, as the guy was talking about like, when I was a little kid, we had these annual magazines and they had walking around in the station. They were showing the outer ring and yada. They were kind of making it seem a little bit much more like, like really walking around in a station. I think the idea was a little more than one room. There's a lot of stuff there that we have now. And there's some stuff there that I think we will get. And there's some stuff there that I think we'll just never get around to. So let's talk about it. Tweaked, you're up first.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who she was, but talking about walking around the ship, they had, and I don't know if that was like actually developed or created, but it sure looked like it was, the inside of an Anaconda, and they had it designed right down to the lift that'll take you to the lower levels and everything. Where is that? Why are we so many years later and we don't have that? And honestly, other than not at this time, we have heard nothing saying whether or not that's even going to come to us. I want it. I want it bad.
Where that is commercial land, where people promise things that they sometimes deliver. Roy, you're up.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot of stuff they talked about that is here in one form or another. When I look at all those folks, I wonder how many of them besides BRABEN are still in the company.
So I can tell you for sure, The sound guy that they showed there, the guy wearing the little sweater under the button-down shirt over the button-down shirt that was like, I want 0G combat. What's that going to be like? He's still there. He's the main sound guy. He was the same sound guy that was used in the commercial for Dev Diary 2, where he said, we've always had the sound in Elite, but you've always experienced it through your ship. Now, for the first time, you'll be experiencing it with your own ears. That's that same guy. Michael Brooks left work for a little while for health reasons, and when he came back, he was reassigned, and he plays with dinosaurs now. He plays on, dinosaur, world.
Jurassic World.
Yeah, I don't really care enough to... Yeah, dinosaur world. And some of those people are still there. Braben, as I think we can all sort of surmise, he moved upstairs as he had to. And I really wish he would just find a money guy and be like, hey, man, you do this managerial shit. I'm going to go back to putting my hands in the dirt and growing this beautiful plant that I love called Elite Dangerous. But that's just my personal super selfish whatever answer. Astro, what do you think about this video?
Yeah, as many guys already said, obviously a lot of the stuff they talked about we kind of have, a lot of it we don't. I hope hopefully this will be a long discussion, but I hope that Frontier is going to begin to work more with the stuff they have instead of what they've been doing so far. And every time they want to make something new, they feel like they have to reinvent the wheel and build something from the bottom up. Take the assets you have and expand upon it. There's a lot of good stuff in Elite that could use some love and attention.
Absolutely. And Wolf, what do you think about this moment of Braben?
So that was the first time that I've watched that, and I'm a little torn. It's like, this is November 2014, I think. There's a lot of people there who were all kinds of happy with, and here's what's coming next in 2021. And the question I have is, was development just not done? Or how much stuff got pulled out and put on the shelf? I hope. Or just outright deleted? I really hope not. Because there was definitely some vision shared around a lot of people, and you could see the excitement. And I'm wondering if that is really still there. Who knows? Maybe we'll have a little more insight to the developers coming up soon.
In fairness to Frontier, we got a lot of the stuff that they talked about. We did. We have a lot of the stuff now. Again, you're right. That was November 7th of 2014. It is now 2021, and we're not as far on the list as we were supposed to have been, sort of according to the schedule, but we've made some progress. I think the main issue, and part of the reason why I keep showing these clips, why I keep going back to, hey man, here's what you said when we were going to start this thing. This isn't me being salty saying oh, you're a liar. It's me saying, hey man, you have this thing that is sort of this amazing ball of possibility. I would really like it if you stopped having just sort of potential for upside and started actually realizing that, started actually delivering on some of the potential, because Elite Dangerous, I think, is the most beautiful game when you talk about potential. I think Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen are sort of tied for the most beautiful games of potential that there are. But I'd like for both of them, really, if I'm being honest, to start, okay, enough with the potential. Start giving me actual. Start making it happen. It's been, the better part of a decade. I'd like to see a little more conversion from potential greatness to actual greatness. Roy.
Yeah, so, many of those employees, I'm sure, aren't in the company anymore. 7 years is a long time to hang on to whatever, dream they had that they were talking about there for the different aspects of the game. It's a long time if you're an employee in a company. However, many people who are playing the game were around when those videos first came out, and that might have been one of the things that drew them into the game, and they haven't forgotten about all those dreams or ideas about what the game could become. And I think this is why we need, for FDEV to either reinforce or refute some of these details of dreams and ideas and, like, as you say, potential that's been hanging around for years, to just make it more clear. I mean, they could make a kind of a forward-looking document or a manifesto, or I'm searching for the word. What could they call a document?
I know what it is.
Like that?
I know what it is. A trail napkin. It's where you write on a napkin your trail that you intend to go on. It's like you're making a map of a trail, like that you would go, almost like a road that you would walk on foot.
Mm-hmm. Something like that.